Now, a looming railroad worker strike could also have a huge impact on the U.S. economy, and San Diegans would feel that impact almost immediately. ABC 10 News anchor Jared Aarons takes an in-depth look at how this would affect the way we shop, work, and commute.
Railroad companies and unions are about to miss their stop for a Friday morning deadline to avoid the first major rail strike in 30 years. Companies like BNSF and Union Pacific have already started canceling some train trips to avoid long-distance cargo getting stranded. Meanwhile, the two biggest rail unions accuse the companies of corporate extortion and corporate terrorism in negotiations. Caught in the middle, the country's economy and shoppers who are already frustrated with supply chain issues.
I think it would be noticeable within a few days that certain things aren't available.
Dr. Kyle Handley is an economics professor at UC San Diego. He says rail moves nearly every part of the economy.
A lot of agricultural commodities, so corn and soybeans, travel by rail. Lumber travels by rail. Quite a few chemicals. Anything that's heavy is likely going to be traveling, at least in part, on a rail line.
Which means store shelves could sit empty again. Factories could shut down because they don't have raw materials. Even new cars could disappear from lots. A study from the American Association of Railroads says a strike would cost the economy $2 billion every day as businesses close and prices rise because of short supply.
The supply chains and supply lines are as I mentioned, are already very stressed, and to have this come on top of it is likely going to be pretty bad for the U.S. economy.
San Diego's two main train yards, BNSF and the San Diego and Imperial Valley Railroad, would be affected by the strike. In an email, the SDIV told us they'll, quote, continue serving customers based on the fluidity of traffic to us at interchange. BNSF released a statement to its customers, urging them to contact Congress and, quote, let them know the impact a rail service interruption would have on your business and your customers. It's not just freight and commodities. A strike could impact the way we get to work. 97% of commuter rails like Amtrak and the Pacific Surfliner run on tracks that are owned, maintained, and dispatched by freight companies. So if there's a strike, they can't use these rails, leaving a lot of people stranded. Amtrak has already canceled some long-distance routes. They say if any more are affected, quote, we will attempt to notify you at least 24 hours in advance, as well as offer the opportunity to receive a full refund. We reached out to the North County Transit District about the coaster, but did not hear back. As for all that cargo, Dr. Handley says it would be impossible to simply switch shipping methods from trains to trucks.
Semi-truck trailers just can't handle some of the freight that's running by rail, in particular because it's very heavy. You can't put it on a truck and send it down the interstate.
That's why the White House and Congress are pressuring both sides to make a deal before a strike derails the economy. Jared Aarons, ABC 10 News.
Now, any strike would begin at 12:01 a.m. That's Friday morning. A presidential negotiating committee, meanwhile, did come up with a compromise. So if there is a strike, Congress could act to force both sides to agree to the compromise and continue working.